9 times out of 10, when I see someone come in and they're a millionaire and they want the help, they forget that they're up at this level. So they're forgetting where they come from. They're forgetting their why. They're just learning business, money, money, money. The problem is when they forget their why, they forget where they come from. Like my why is my family. I will do anything. I'll be up 3 o'clock in the morning to deal with people in Australia because I want to do it for my family. I won't give less than I do if I work for free. But one of the main things is when you're looking at a person that's a millionaire, I don't care if they're broke, I don't care if they're a millionaire, they're all at the same level. They forget one thing. If someone gets fired in their business or can't show up, you got to do that job. All right. You got to be the one stepping up to the plate because you own the business. You're the CEO. You got to understand all aspects of your business in order to make it grow. So if I'm the marketer and I'm at your business and I can't make it in for a couple of weeks because I'm sick, I got COVID-19 or something, you got to either hire someone or step up to the plate. You got to be willing to step outside that box in order to be the best you could be for your own business. Because your business is not going to run itself. It needs to be run by you. But the problem is you got to know the sharp ends of the stick.
Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. All right, well, welcome to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. It's a beautiful day here, and we got excited. We got an amazing episode scheduled for y'all. This gentleman right here up-levels entrepreneurs. So this is definitely up our alley. If you're looking to take your entrepreneur skill set to another level, scale your business, grow your business, and we all hear that terminology, right? We need multiple streams of income. And most of us can't even grasp it because we come from that employee mindset where we're used to exchanging hours for dollars. Well, in order to get away from the hours for dollars, you got to really just have a transformation of your thinking. And it really is possible to have multiple streams of income. So I'm excited to bring this guy on. He's an amazing coach. He really helps a lot of people. And he's coming out of Canada. So it's pretty cold up there right now. So I'm pretty sure he has a fur coat on and he's underneath some blankets maybe. I'm not too sure. But let's welcome to the show, Mr. Robert J. Moore. How you doing, my friend?
Not bad. The fur coat, I don't do that. We're so used to it down here, though, eh? Check this out, though. I was out in, California a couple of years back, and someone says, "Oh, you're from Canada. That's where all the polar bears come. Do you ever get any polar bears in your backyard?" And I say, "Oh, yeah, they go by my house every day. They don't go in here. They're at the other side of the world." But I mean,
polar bears.
You got to play with these people a bit if they're going to ask such a question, right?
Yeah, Robert. Well, man, I'll tell you what, I heard a lot of great things. We have some mutual friends in common, and they said you really help just entrepreneurs take their business to another level. And I'm excited to spend some time with you today and really get to know you and just see what type of value you can add to our audience. And I'm going to say this a little bit early to our audience, the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, podcast of the year here. Let's do this. Get your pens and paper out early, because I'm pretty sure Robert's going to drop some wisdom and you're going to want to take a lot of notes. And this guy is a 5-time international bestseller. He's going to help you really just level up your game, and not only that, level up your life. Because I truly believe when you have a success mindset, it doesn't just help your business, it helps your life just in that. So Robert, I know who you are, my friend. Tell the world who you are on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show.
Well, I'm a 5-time international best-selling author, and that's awarded. As you can see, all the awards behind me. I'm also a Guinness World Record holder. I'm the main one for all the people. I've actually advanced other people 125 other people got to be associated with the brand at the time to win. The reason why I won it is because now, you got to remember one thing. Guinness World Record takes 50,000 different applications a year. They only accept 1,000.
They take 50,000 applications 1 year? Guinness Book?
Every year they take 50,000 applications, but they only accept 1,000.
Well, let me ask you this. Where did you win a Guinness Book of World Record? What are you in there for?
That's what I was just about to tell you. For signing the same book simultaneously, all right, 126 people signing it. Now, people think, well, how can you do that? It's only one book simultaneously. Everybody's got to be all over each other. No, I did it the easy way. In order to be accepted, I was at a board of 12 people. And what happened was I had to make it unique. They said, if you don't make it unique, you're not getting in. Now, they refused me 3 times. The 4th time, I said, okay, as a publisher, what I'm going to do is I'll just put everybody's bio in the book, and then that way they're all in there, all published authors. And they said, what a good idea. I never even thought of that. So I did that. I put 150 people in there, and then only 126 people actually took place at the event. I need to beat 115. It came from the UK. Now it's in Canada. So, yeah, it was amazing.
Awesome, man. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. So it sounds like you have a lot of wisdom that we want to kind of tap into your brain and see what's going on. So let me ask you this. What do you specialize in? I know when we were kind of getting this interview going off the recording, you were talking about you have 10 streams of income. So why do you think most entrepreneurs just don't get it, right? I know a big part of it is they never leave that employee mindset, and you really got to go from that employee mindset to a successful business mindset. So what have you seen in your coaching that most entrepreneurs just bomb it?
Like, I deal with people right from lawyers, judges, right down to people just starting a business off. Celebrities, I deal with a lot of different people. The thing is, what I see in most people is that they have scarcity. They're stuck in their own zone thinking they're done well, or they don't know their business. They don't know the foundation. They don't know how to bring their business up further. I mean, knowing the foundation of your own business, you'll know it all. 2 years ago, for instance, I fired my entire staff. And I started hiring people to teach me how to do the marketing, how to do this, how to do that, how to do this. It took me a year and a half. Thank God I had money aside because it costs a lot of money to do that. But I wanted to make sure my foundation was not struggling. So that's what I did. I built it so that, let's put it this way, I built it from eating out of garbage cans, and we'll get into that story because I remember eating out of garbage cans when I first started to 1.2 mil.
Wow, man. I see you, and I don't see you eating out of a garbage can. I feel you eating some filet mignon. So let me ask you this. What was a big difference from the people that you fired to the people that you hired?
Well, the people that I fired, I found that they were just getting paid. They didn't know their job well enough, and they weren't willing to take the risk. So when I said to the marketing team, I said, here's $1,500. Let's see you do this, this, and this. Well, they would advertise themselves first. Well, I'm not paying you to advertise yourself first. You're being paid to advertise me. So if you're advertising yourself for a half hour and only putting me up there 5 minutes, there's something wrong with that picture.
Yeah, you know what? That's exactly true. So in reference to marketing, okay, but let's get deep down in it, right? Because you fired your team. Yeah. There has to have been come on, man. From eating out of a trash can to 1.2 million, like, don't hold back on us. Give us some golden nuggets. I mean, I've ran multi-million-dollar businesses myself. So what was the big difference from the people that you fired as far as just a simple ad?
Well, it took me a long time to actually rehire some people. So what I did was I hired some people to teach me how to do it, like people to tell the story, people that do marketing, people that teach me the marketing. Armin Morin, one of the top strategists in the world, I hired him for the marketing. And then Ted McGrath, I got him to teach me how to do my story. Les Brown, all these different big names. Yeah. There was like 52 of the top achievers in the world I studied. Some are deceased, so you just look on YouTube. Or the Ziegler family, I just got a hold of Cindy and Tom and all the rest of them, and I talked to them about different aspects of my life. And they helped me out. It was just basically a mindset of not knowing. You have to know the knowledge in order to be there.
Yeah. So in other words, you kind of went from that scarcity mindset that you were talking about to just really raising your thinking. It's funny you say that because I was on an interview this morning, and something that I said is, if you're success minded, it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to succeed. And most people don't realize that. They don't realize that to have a successful life, a successful business, you have to be successful minded. You have to have that success mindset. So coming from what you just said, for yourself, what were 3 big obstacles that you had to come up with your own thinking?
I had to step out of my own way. I had to let God take control. That's a huge thing, because the thing is, a lot of people have stepped in their own way. It's what got you there in the first place, and that mess is you. So let God control the thing. Let God control the wheel right then and there and guide you, right? Ask for the help. Don't be afraid. And when I became a Christian, it was like, this got a lot easier. A lot easier, and I'm not fighting them no more or blaming or whatever. So I'm taking responsibility for all my own actions. I'm not putting blame on staff. You did this wrong. Now we can't do this because you did this wrong. Well, how about just Kim Sue Berg always talks about enhancing people's lives by doing one thing: focus solution therapy. Focus on the things you're doing well and doing better next time. Forget about the negative.
Yeah. I love what you just said, because a lot of times we can walk around with that blaming stick, right? We point that stick at everybody else, but we don't take responsibility. And when you realize that you take responsibility for it, it's like you own it and you can control it in the sense that it's you. It's all on you. And I say that because you said something that was pretty vital. So I want my audience to write this down. I did a corporate training, and the main guy, the general manager, was just like, well, so-and-so, right? He had the pointing stick out. Mm. And we were just there, and I'm like, okay, well, who hired that guy? Well, I did. Okay, well, then who's responsible? And that's what you're saying. That's kind of what you're saying. It's like when you take ownership, you made a decision yourself to let go of your whole team, which is, I give you kudos for that, because people wouldn't have the cojones to do that. But when you did that, you elevated your game because you wanted to get wiser, not be in the same situation. And I say that because how many times do we blame other people? And it's, well, you hired that employee. You're the one that promoted that manager, that supervisor to oversee that department of marketing. If your market is not doing well, well, then you put them there, take responsibility for it. And I think so many times we pass the buck, or is this what else we do? You mentioned something else that I like is, right, you took training. And many of us, we get in that position, or we get that new level of business, but we don't really take any training to really elevate. We're okay with the status quo. And then the client doesn't get the results they want. They let us go. And then we're upset with them. Like, oh, they were just flaky. No, you got the opportunity, but you didn't invest in yourself like Robert did. And Robert spent money. And I think this is key what you said. I want people to understand this. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want your business to succeed, if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur, you have to make that investment in yourself. Now, I can't go back and exactly say how much money Robert invested in himself, but I can tell you, if it took him a year, I can tell you he at least had over $40,000, $50,000 saved up that he invested in himself and in his business.
$500,000 I put out to invest in myself.
$500,000.
$500,000. Les Brown and all the boys are not cheap. You know that.
Yeah, but look at the return. You just said if I invest $500,000 or $1.2 million, I would say that's a pretty good ROI, wouldn't you say?
Like, here's the funny thing. I'm certified by Les Brown, but I'm actually training his daughter. Figure that out. I'm coaching his own daughter. So, I mean, it works out really well because she don't want to be like her dad. She wants to have her own personality. In order to have her own personality, it's a pretty hard step to actually go. When Serena Brown Travis is looking at the fact, well, my dad's the top motivational speaker in the world, and I don't want to be like him. And so now she's got in her mind that you can't break this rule because on stage she talks about the rules you can't break. Well, she broke them all.
Yes.
She felt very uncomfortable, but she did it because she doesn't want to be like her dad. She wants him to have the personality he has and her to have her own personality.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Why do you think most people will never invest in themselves the way they should, Robert? Just what you've seen in your coaching clients, why do you think that is?
Complacency is one. They think they have it under control. They think that they're doing exceptionally well. The problem is, if you tell someone that you want to bring all your students up to your level, well, where do they go from there if you're not moving forward? I always look at myself. Here's one thing I do is I look at myself. I admire myself 10 years in advance. I picture myself 10 years in advance, and I say to myself, okay, this is what I want to be. My dad used to tell me, he says, where do you want to be in the future? I said, 10 years in advance. He goes, how's that work? I said, well, I put myself 10 years in advance and look at and visualize what I want there and where I want to be. He says, what happens? You catch up? I said, Dad, you're always 10 years in advance.
So you never catch up.
You still got another 10 years to go.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What is, going back to what I asked you, what really shifted in your thinking? You got out of your own way. You got enlightened, you kind of gave control over to God. But what was the one thing that's tangible that the audience can take away that really shifted in who you were or in your thinking? I understand you're a Christian. I'm a believer myself, but it goes back to Romans 12:2, right? You got to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I see this all the time where people, they expect God to do everything for them, and God's not going to comb your hair. God's not going to brush your teeth. So what did you have to change within your own thinking? What was the biggest shift that you saw?
Before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you where I was before I started. I was an alcoholic drug addict, 16 years in and out of jail, 7 years on the streets. And when I say streets, I don't mean living on someone's couch. I mean, I was breaking into apartment buildings to get clothes that are already in the dryer. I didn't care if they fit. I made them fit, and I slept in the snow, put the snow on top of me to sleep for 7 years. All right? And then that's why I say when I ate out of garbage cans, that's how I started. And then I started getting education. I went and got my social service worker diploma, my dictionary degree, my BA in psychology, my master's in counseling psychology, harm reduction, mental health crisis, and working on a PhD. So my mindset changed when I started looking at my education is not going to influence anybody unless I have solutions. And I had to find out what everybody out there was having problems with in order to give a solution. So if I start talking about hippocampus, they're going to say, what is this guy talking about? We're not going to go to him. And that's all psychology stuff. But if I start talking, you know what? We had this hurdle, and I had this guy come to me, and we're talking about blah, blah, blah. Here's the solution that he used. People can say, well, I can relate to that now. So I had to learn what the audience was all about on my Facebook. I had to learn what they're all doing. I had to learn what they're all struggling with in order to put it in my life, in order to tell my story to help them out.
I love that. So what's the biggest hurdle that you've seen that people have to overcome, Robert?
Getting in their own way. They get in their own way. They think they're complacent. They're stuck. I know multi-millionaire people that come to me and say, listen, how come I can't go any further? And I said, do you know your business? They said, well, not really, but they don't know the interior part of their business. You have to know your foundation. You got to know your structure of your business. If you don't know all the aspects of your business, how do you expect to grow?
Yeah. So let me ask you this, as far as aspects. So okay, I love your energy. I love that. But give us some meat and potatoes, because I'm not getting the meat and potatoes here. I really want to, you're kind of just throwing stuff out there, but I really want to, we have a multimillionaire business. What are some things that you've seen that they need to fix? Because I really want to deliver value in this episode, and give us some things that you've seen when somebody gets stuck at that millionaire episode or that millionaire income revenue. What's an area of opportunity that you've seen in that?
9 times out of 10, when I see someone come in and they're a millionaire and they want the help, they forget that they're up at this level. So they're forgetting where they come from. They're forgetting their why. They're just learning business, money, money, money. The problem is when they forget their why, they forget where they come from. Like my why is my family. I will do anything. I'll be up 3 o'clock in the morning to deal with people in Australia because I want to do it for my family. I won't give less than I do if I work for free. But one of the main things is when you're looking at a person that's a millionaire, I don't care if they're broke, I don't care if they're a millionaire, they're all at the same level. They forget one thing. If someone gets fired in their business or can't show up, you got to do that job. All right? You got to be the one stepping up to the plate because you own the business. You're the CEO. You got to understand all aspects of your business in order to make it grow. So if I'm the marketer and I'm at your business and I can't make it in for a couple of weeks because I'm sick, I got COVID-19 or something, you got to either hire someone or step up to the plate. You got to be willing to step outside that box in order to be the best you could be for your own business. Because your business is not going to run itself. It needs to be run by you. But the problem is you got to know the sharp ends of the stick.
I love that. You know, it's funny you say that because I had this happen to a good friend of mine. He had an employee that was out for a couple of weeks, and they actually lost their, I don't know, they do like medals and trophies and stuff. So he couldn't do the actual logo on the trophies, and he had to bring in somebody else. Well, they got behind because the person that did the actual typesetting or whatever you call it wasn't available for 2 weeks, like you're saying. And that was a big thing. And I think, so let me ask you this, because I love where we're going with this. So many times we hear, I think his name is Michael Berber, right? You see, he always talks about be on your business, but not in your business. Yeah. And I agree with that philosophy to a certain extent. But if you're on your business and you don't know the details of it, is that what you're trying to say, right? It's okay. You have to kind of be both in a sense then, right?
That's right. Yeah, you have to be both. I mean, if you're going to be running a business, you got to know all aspects of your business. So you got to know everything about your business. So if, like I said, if you don't come in on the marketing team and we got to get this stuff out there, how do you do it? Do you either hire someone quickly? 9 times out of 10, when you hire someone, they're busy too. So you have to jump in and take place until you can get that person hired for that week and a half or 2 weeks. So I could step outside. Now, see, the thing is, when I branded my business, I branded it as Magnetic Entrepreneur Inc., but people know it as Robert J. Moore's running it. So I branded them both together. So it'd be an awful hard thing to sell unless I'm the CEO for 2 years and then stepped aside later. The reason why I did that is because at first I didn't know which way I wanted to go. It was Robert J. Moore for speaking, but then at the same time, well, who's the CEO of this business? They're doing exceptionally well. So they had to show a face, right? And then my name was already branded at the time, so I just put them both together and they said, wow, this is pretty cool. So I learned to teach people how to tell their story. It doesn't matter if you're in business or if you're going to write a book or whatever. If you don't know how to tell your story, you can't influence other people.
Yeah. I believe with you that because when you reach the heart, it's when you open the people's wallets, right? And it's not even about the wallet. It's just the fact that it goes back to Maya Angelou's quote, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. And I spoke about that this morning. I said, look, so many people want the easy way or the cheap way to grow your business. It's not going to work that way. You can't expect somebody who's never been where you want to go to take you there. And so many times I see businesses struggle because they want to get there without making the investment, and then they rely on themselves or people that ain't qualified. And I told them this morning, if you're trying to have somebody take you there that's never been there, how can they take you to the promised land if they've never been there themselves? And that's kind of what you're saying, right?
It's exactly right. You know, I've had people come to me and they work with me, and the one guy, like, I'll just use one guy, for instance, I won't say names, but I'll just say, you know, he wanted the fast track. So he didn't want to do the investment in the middle. He just said, okay, well, this is where I want to be. I'm just going to charge $1,500 for people to get in my book, and I'll do a series of books. I'll be a publisher. He came back to me about 6 months later and said he's $30,000 in debt. How does he get out of this? I said, learn your business. Learn what you're doing. Learn what you're putting out there. I said, you know what? If you're putting something out there, you better make sure the audience is paying attention. Don't do it for selfishness. I do a lot of things for free. I'll sit there and do a webinar. I'll do an event for free. And you know why? Because you can always do an upsell later. If people are interested enough to come in that free event, they like what they're talking about, I always put a separate one later on. So basically, I'll tell people pay $87 because it's online COVID right now. They can't pay much. So do the $87 on the event. When you do the $87, it gives you a VIP ticket, which next week you can have the mastermind. If you're showing up for that mastermind, you're interested in something I'm selling. And that's when I do the upsell, right? I don't do it on my event because you're bringing in big names. Let them have the stage.
Yes, I like that. So many times we want to, how can I say it? We want to, the entitlement issue comes in place, right? Entitlement comes in and you just want to, you want to be the star of the show, and when it's not about us, it's about the people that we serve. So,
right.
So let's get back to this. I'm interested in hearing your story as far as you're eating out of trash cans, and how does somebody, because right now, let's just face it, people are just losing jobs, losing clients. They're seeing the worst because of that way of thinking that they have, scarcity mindset, lack mindset, whichever one you want to call it. How does a Robert J. Moore go from eating out of trash cans to making over $1 million in gross revenue?
Well, you got to look at the situation. I had to learn what my why was first. When I started getting education, it was pre-scarcity because I was used to drinking and drugging in order to be faced. So I was a class clown, basically. So I had to learn to let that all go and let God steer the wheel and get me better first. So I had to learn me. So investing in yourself with all these different programs, you're investing in the fact of getting to know who you are. So when I went through school, all those educations I went, all the certificates and diplomas and everything I got through university right to high school, I'll tell you something. It wasn't about the fact of me looking good. Oh, look at me. I got this. I got all this education. You don't see that behind my name or in front of my name. The reason why I did it is because I wanted to learn me. I wanted to learn how I clicked. I wanted to learn how I do things differently. So human behavior is one of the biggest things I've learned. So I've learned to read physiology of the face, the body language. I've learned to get up on stage. If someone gets me up there within 2 minutes and I don't have a speech, I could change it right quick. I just look at the audience and I know. You know exactly what to talk about then. Plus, you know the topic. So you can relay it to people. You can sit there when you shake their hand, you can talk about, you know, hey, the energy that flows through the person. Are they just BSing me because of the fact that they know I'm getting up on stage and they know I'm someone that's talked about? Or are they going over this person talking F this, F that? Their behavior changes at different people. So, and their body language does too. So you want to be aware of that If you're working with someone, you want to make sure that they're on the right level. You want to bring it to their level. I've had people come in there, mechanics. They want to do business. I know business. I know nothing about being a mechanic, right? That's why I have a mechanic. So I'll relate the business to him being a mechanic just to build that rapport. So when someone comes in on Facebook, I want to talk about organic relationships. If they're trying to sell me something, they're blocked automatically. Build that organic relationship and you'll go somewhere, right?
Yes. No, I get that. I think now more than ever on LinkedIn, and I bring up LinkedIn because I have a big following on LinkedIn, but I was just so many times, now whenever I see like I brand coaches, I always just don't even accept them because right away they send you an invite like, hey, free webinar. And it's just like you get 4 or 5 of those a day. It's just like, it's kind of a turnoff, and it's not fair because there's really quality people out there like yourself that want to help, that have been there. And what amazes me is you ask them a question. I said, well, I always ask people 2 questions. What's your net worth and what's your credit score? And if they can't answer those, you'd be surprised how many people get offended with that, Robert, right? Well, what do you mean, what's my net worth? Well, how are you going to have me be a 6-7-figure coach or 8-figure coach, whatever malarkey you want to tell me, if you still live at home with your mom and dad, right?
I saw that this morning for crying out loud. Funny.
Yeah, but you have a lot of so-called, let me help you brand and elevate and escalate and whatever else you want to do. And they still live at home with mom and dad. Like, really? You know what I mean?
I've seen it. I've seen it many times. This one guy was trying to hide it from me. He said, I get all this kind of money. I'm doing this. I'm real estate. I'm doing that. He says, me and the wife are, we're doing fantastic in life. And I said, really? I said, there's something here that's not adding up. And then I found out he's living in his grandmother's basement. Right? He doesn't pay rent. Doesn't buy anything for the food. This is your grandmother. You should be the one paying her to be there. My father alone, I mean, he raised me. He did everything he could to raise me. Why shouldn't I call him on Father's Day, go to the casino and have a nice lunch with him and say, listen, what would it take to retire you? And he says, well, I do need that, but I don't have the money. I said, I never asked you about the money, but what would it take you to retire you? He said, give me $30,000 a year. I'll retire. Anybody gives me that. And I said, I'll do it. And then he phones me up later. He says, that's per year, not just once, right? I said, Dad, yes. Yeah, I'll give you $30,000 a year. He goes, where do you come up with this kind of money? I said, Dad, you give the value to people. The value is huge. Overgive the value, right? Always overgive. Because you know what? You might say you're working for $15,000. Here's the package you get. If they're only getting that package, they're not really going to be surprised. If you want to actually move someone's life and move someone to a new degree, overgive.
Overgive. And most people undergive, don't they?
Oh, I see it too many times.
So let's go back to this journey, right? The transition from the old employees to the new employees. Where in that journey did Robert J. Moore lose his confidence?
I lost confidence right when I fired people. It's like, oh my Lord, what am I going to do? I got to do everything myself. I felt like I was going under. I see my bank count go, quite low. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? Well, then I put my 2 feet on the ground one day. I remember waking up and I said, well, I'm sober. I opened up the Bible, and all you got to do is when you open up a Bible, just open up anywhere. Read 2 pages this way, 2 pages that way. You're going to find your answer. I'm sorry, but you'll find your answer. And mine was, I was too hard on myself. I was looking at myself as a codependent to myself. So I had to let that go, let God take the responsibility how I'm being guided, and just go with the flow. Learn to prioritize my information. I learned when I had prioritizing on a piece of paper, I had the first 5 of them wrong. Eric Thomas, when I got coached by him, he taught me this. He says, put 10 things down on paper that you want to prioritize. Put you in priorities right there. I want to see them. Well, he looked at them. He says, the first 5 things are going to hold you down. And I said, why? He goes, because you're thinking about yourself. You're not thinking of others. If you're thinking of others and giving something to other people, you're going to have attraction of people coming back to you. It was a hard lesson to learn, but I did it.
So if you don't mind me asking, what were those 5 things you wrote down?
I can't remember now. It was pretty selfish. It was like, I want to make $1 million, prioritize. I want to help make sure my dad is doing this, but I want something in return. It was like I was being greedy, right? Yeah. It was like you're putting something out there, but you're taking it back just as fast. So basically what I'm saying is try and do something for someone out there. Hey, the other day I went to my stepdad's house. I could only take so much money out of the bank card because they only allow so much out. I took whatever limit was, and I went to him, and he says, I'm really suffering right now. And I saw his girlfriend take off because you don't want her known because she gets excited about that. So I just clump of money. I said, here you go. I don't want it back. He says, are you sure this is a lot of money? I said, you need it more than I do. Don't worry about it. Yeah, and the guy was happy. He's happy. I mean, he just found my brother dead not long ago. I lost 3 brothers in my time, all the drugs and alcohol. One was 2001, one was 2015, and just past February.
So how did you start regaining your confidence after that journey, Robert?
When I started believing in God again, when I started putting my focus on it's not about me, it's about other people, and focusing on how their solutions need to be more or less upright. So more or less what I'm saying is, if you see someone struggling and you've already been down that road, don't hesitate to just give them a little advice. Don't demand them to do things. Don't, put them in the corner, but just give them a little solution. A solution goes a long way. A little pep talk. Be there for someone. Don't ask for money. Don't ask for anything in return. Do something. It's like resentment. A lot of people get resentment because of the fact of they always want out of return. Well, the resentment, it's like peeing down your own leg. You're the only one that feels it. Yes. Right? So always give, forget about the return. Right? It's not about money in this business. It's about what you can do for others. If you're serving other people and their needs, you're going to get 10 times back.
It goes back to what you just said earlier, right? You brought up a quote that I love from Zig Ziglar that says, you can have anything in the world that you want as long as you help other people get what they want.
Right.
And it's just the truth. And I think so many of us, and I had to learn that. I think when I was, younger, you kind of focus on yourself or you're not as giving. And I thought I was grateful. I just came back from Asia and I thought, man, I left to Asia with a grateful heart, I thought. But once you realize how life is on the other side of the world, you're like, wow, like I have nothing to complain about. I really feel that way, Robert. And that's kind of what you're saying, that there's so much to give and so much to be grateful for. But it's just, I think the stat that I read was over 90% of people in the world have that scarcity and lack mindset. And when you have that fixed pie in the sky mindset, you always think like that you're owed something or that you don't, how can I say it, that you can't afford to do it. You can't afford not to do it.
Yeah, simple.
You can't afford not to give. And the beautiful thing about it is I love what you said, man. You're referencing the Bible a lot. And I want to drop this word of wisdom because I think so many of us, we put down the Bible. And I say that in a way that if you were to ask 2 people, well, which book would you rather read? Would you read the Bible or would you read Think and Grow Rich, right? If you get, would you just say 1,000 people, right? You give 1,000 people, okay, which book do you want? Oh, I'm going to read Think and Grow Rich. Well, you're reading the same book because Think and Grow Rich comes from the Bible and they don't even realize it.
You get to know the author, buddy. Get to know the author.
Yeah, but it amazes me that people everybody like, Think and Grow Rich, I know there's John Shindit, the Asian Think and Grow Rich. You got all these other different Think and Grow Rich going on.
Friend of ours, yeah.
And I say that because everybody is like, yeah, it's a book of gold. It is. But the content, the principles come from the Bible. And just read the Bible, read the book of Proverbs 1 through 30. It's going to change your life. It's going to change your life. You agree with that or not?
Oh, I agree 100%. One thing that people don't realize, if you're a true entrepreneur, and I'm going to say a true entrepreneur in no aspects of your living, if I take everything away from you right now and let you live on the street, if someone did that to me, I guarantee you within a year, I'll have it all back. Yeah. Guaranteed. Yes. Because I know what I'm doing when it comes to the business. I know that mindset. I'm not an employee. I was talking to one guy, and he was working for me. He says, oh, I don't work on the weekends, and I don't work after 7 p.m. I said, excuse me? I need the job done. What do you mean? He goes, oh, that's time for my kids. I said, there's going to be times that you have to just work 24/7. In order to make this work. I said, how bad do you want your business to go? It's like what Eric Thomas says, about breathing. How bad do you want to breathe? Yeah. How bad do you want to get up in the morning and make your business run? Like I can go to a jail right now and speak for free. And I will not give them less than 120% of what I'm worth because I believe in me. If I go to some other place, get paid $100,000 to speak, I will give them the same respect as I do for the people that are free, because I believe in me, right? I believe in what I'm saying.
So let me ask you this. How does Robert J. Moore stay consistent? What keeps you consistent day in and day out?
I'm a goal seeker. Every day I wake up, like when my brother died, for instance, I was a therapist for 15 years, and I was a counselor for 12. So I learned how to deal with a lot of people with death. So when it came to the fact of me breathing and trying to deal with all the death I had to deal with, I work my ass off now. Pardon my language, but I work my ass off now. I'll go in, I'll say to my wife, I'll say, okay, I got to make $5,000 this month just to make me feel good. You know, it's a day I'm feeling sad. So I wanted to bring that sadness into happiness. And I do it every time. Whatever I choose to do, I end up doing because I believe in those goals. When I achieve this goal here, I just move on to the next one. I'm an out-of-the-box thinker. And that's one thing people know about me. I'm out-of-the-box thinker. You never know what I'm going to do. I don't like being consistent with other people. There's enough people in the world that can accumulate everybody. There's so many different publishers that came to this event, and they said to me, you're amazing, man. You know, like these are top people in the world. And they said to me, how do you keep doing what you're doing? And I said, outside the box thinker. I don't want to do what you guys are doing. You guys are getting all the same people on stage. Well, I'm getting different people. I'm getting different people that are just as recognized, but not seen as much. So now they want to come to my event because they haven't seen them for a long time.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So you're a successful publisher, you're successful in every aspect that you do. What makes Robert J. Moore distinctive? If you were to be unique, what's your uniqueness and what makes you distinctive, Robert?
I'm a quick thinker when it comes to business. You know what? No matter what it comes down to, I may not understand your business, but I know business. There's a difference there. Like I said, mechanics come to me. I got a lady right now that does financing. I don't know financing. I got another lady that comes to me and does jumping jacks, right? She jumps on these things. I don't have a clue anything about that. But I know business. I know how to brand that business. I know how to get it out there more.
Yeah. That's the uniqueness about you, huh?
Yeah.
And I love that, right? You have to have that impromptu. Most of us don't have that impromptu.
I love a challenge, though. I love a challenge.
I think you're right, because what you said about the goals, right? The goals keep you going. The goals keep you doing that. And I think back in 10, 12 years ago, we paid off our other house that we were living in. And I didn't see it, but the fact that it was such a big goal, we paid off our house in 10 years or whatever it was, I got lazy. I lost that fire. I lost that edge, and I was regressing instead of progressing.
Oh.
So I want my audience to know right now, if you don't have a goal that's really big, that's really out there, and that's really getting you up every single morning, like Robert's saying, to keep you moving forward, it's time to get another goal. It's time to stop playing small in life and start playing big, because you weren't created to be mediocre. You weren't created to be average. You were created for greatness. And that's what Robert's saying. Go out there and make an impact. Stop thinking in hundreds. Stop thinking as an employee, and see yourself as an entrepreneur. See yourself as a successful entrepreneur. And listen to what he's saying. He says, I don't understand your typical business, but I understand business. And it's just like that. When you understand business, that without clients, without customers, you're not going to survive. And the biggest thing is without sales, you're not going to survive. And I teach this all the time. It doesn't matter what type of business. If you don't sell anything, you're not going to make anything. But sometimes, like Robert is saying, listen to his heart. When you give of yourself with unexpected return, God in the universe will bless you back 10, 20, I believe 100-fold. And if I misquoted you anywhere there, Robert, please correct me if I'm wrong. But
that's good. That works. I mean, the big dreamer, Greg Walker, a good friend of mine, actually, I'm training him too. He says to me, Robert, you're too big to dream small. Right out. Too big to dream small. And I said, that's it. Put a zero in the end. You guys, you want to listen to something, you want to learn something, go to Get Think and Grow Rich, Chapter 2. It talks about the aspect to put your goals in place. Now, the thing is, if you want $1 million by your birthday, you can have it, but the problem is, what are you going to do? What are you going to sacrifice to get it? Are you going to put yourself out there to really work, or are you going to be slack and say, oh, it's just going to come to me because I asked for it? It's not going to work that way.
No, definitely. I truly believe that me and you met for a reason, because I myself lost 3 brothers myself, so I can definitely relate with your story and what you've been through. So let me ask you this. As we're coming towards the end of the interview, what is a quote or what is a word of wisdom that you would love to share with us that's carried you when it looked like it was doom and gloom, but you kept going Give us a quote or a word of wisdom that you've shared that you can share with us,
I
Robert.
remember I was 32 years old. The last sandwich out of the garbage can. The person that put it in there, it was actually a Crown attorney that actually put it in there. The husband, the wife was actually a trustee for the Simcoe County School Board. She come up to me and she said to me, Robert, you're well and worthy. You just don't know it. And I had to sit and think about that. And what does that mean? Finally, I understand what it means. There's nothing I can't do out there if I just repeat to myself in the mirror, you're well and worthy. You're worth getting out there doing the stuff you really want. You're worth being invested into, but you have to do the work.
Yes. Boom, baby.
Boom.
I love that. I'm telling you, man. I have mine isn't well and worthy. I say I am worthy and deserving.
Yeah. Yeah.
The moment you think that you know, not that you think, but that you know that you're worthy and deserving, or that you're well and worth it. Like Robert said, I need to write that down. That was a word of wisdom right there. You're well and worth it, Daniel Gomez Inspires audience. You're well and worth it. Man, Robert, thank you so much for spending some time with us here today. All the way from Canada, eh? All the way from Canada, eh? So how do we find you, man? How do we get a hold of you, or how can I find you?
Robert J. Moore on Facebook, Magnetic Entrepreneur Inc. I've got over 75 books out there I published and my name on them. You Google me, you can't miss me, really. Go on Facebook. I got over 41,000 people on Facebook. They're liking my business page. Go on to YouTube. I got over 52,000 people on there. You know, so I'm just growing. My email list is over 150,000.
So what's your YouTube page?
Magnetic Entrepreneur. Everything's Magnetic Entrepreneur.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Get a hold of Robert J. Moore. This guy's heart is real. He wants to help people. He gives from his heart. I can speak from just experience. When you lose 3 brothers and you're homeless, I can imagine just how much you would want to give back. And thank you so much for tuning into this week's show. We would love for you to join our community, the Distinctive Syndicate. That's where we add a lot of value to your life, to your business, to your soul, a lot of inspiration. So we'd love for you to join our community. And don't forget, coming up March 5th and 6th of 2021, Sticker Shock Speaking Academy here in San Antonio, Texas. If you're an aspiring speaker, we definitely want you to get a hold of me at daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. And Robert got me excited. Daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. We'd love to help you elevate and raise your speaking business. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week here on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to danielgomezinspires.com and get your copy today. That's danielgomezinspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.